to Distracted Divas. Like, share, and subscribe. Today we have a guest. It'll be Diva Destiny. Welcome to the show, Destiny.
Hello, guys. Thank you for having me.
Welcome, Destiny.
Yes,
And
welcome. Thank
she
you for
was,
coming.
and she was a one of our listeners who actually wrote in, and now she's on. So you see, you can be a Destiny.
That's
I
right.
like that. I like that. That was cool.
So,
Yeah.
our Diva for today will go ahead and talk with us today in regards to the Lindsay Clancy trial and postpartum psychosis. Today, that will be our topic. So, we're going to elaborate and break that down and unpack it. So,
Right.
thanks for being with us.
Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah.
Very
So
well.
in case you don't know what's going on, this is like one of the hottest things going on right now on social media. I'm seeing it all the time. But so there in the Massachusetts courtroom right now, there's a case that has horrified and deeply divided the public, the murder trial of Lindsay Clancy. Both sides agree on the tragic facts. In January 2023, the Duxbury mother strangled her three children, Cora, Dawson, and baby Callan, before jumping from a second-story window, leaving her permanently paralyzed. But inside the courtroom, a fierce legal battle is being fought over why it happened. Prosecutors are laying out a chilling timeline, arguing that Lindsay acted with deliberate premeditation, using calculated errands to get her husband out of the house. The defense, however, paints a radically different picture of a medical system failure. They argue Lindsay was driven by postpartum psychosis, plagued by command hallucinations, and trapped in a downward spiral caused by a cocktail of over a dozen prescribed psychiatric medications.
Wow.
So that's what's going on. I would say that that the case is about her legal fate, but in the court of public opinion, there's been a lot of talk on social media and everything of, did she do it? Did he do it? That is a huge thing going on. But the bigger thing that I think is not being talked about, or is being, I guess, brought to the light and forefront, is postpartum depression and this psychosis. And so definitely, I saw a comment from her and kind of reached out to her, and we got to discussing what she's been through. So Destiny, we'll let you take it from there.
Okay. The good thing is today, though, I can honestly talk about it without like breaking out crying, because I think that's come from, like I had said, beginning to forgive myself.
Yes.
And also coming to understand that even though I feel like it's been around for a while, I feel like it's not something that we openly discuss. I would say my case was out of fear of them taking my child and me being 302. I will say that it's real. And I think the postpartum depression isn't spoken about as much, especially for those of us like myself who had other undiagnosed mental health issues as well. And it was like a whirlwind of darkness, I'd have to say. I feel as if with my bout with the postpartum depression, the situation I could also say circled around how someone ended up with child, can fuel that mind frame. But it's funny. I also talked to one of my best friends earlier today about this topic, and she told me that her daughter, who had her grandson, actually had, the perfect life you would think for the child, and went through it too. So as hearing her, her aspect on that, it was like, and when I said, well, like my son wasn't planned, she said, well, my grandson was, married couple together, planned child, tried for years to have child and couldn't. And then I said, so your daughter pretty much was like blindsided with something she didn't expect to come, which was the postpartum depression. Me, I would have to say the fact that my son, like I said, was not planned. Unfortunately, at the moment, it was a one-time hookup, me and his father. I do not say that now, obviously. My son is 13 years old today and is the
Really?
yeah, he turned 13 this year.
Well,
Yes.
happy birthday to your son.
Yes, thank you. He's going
Today's
into
his
eighth grade
birthday.
this year.
Yeah, this
No,
is
no, no.
your
His
son.
his birthday's in April. No, he's
Oh,
like
oh,
13 years
okay.
old. Like,
Oh,
oh
okay.
yeah, no, I'm sorry. I
Tuesday.
apologize for that.
April
Yeah,
what?
he's
April
13th.
what?
13th,
What?
yes.
My
He is an
birthday's
Aries.
April 14th.
And my mom's is the 15th. Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well,
Awesome.
my daughter, I won't get into all the details on that right now, but my daughter, she's no longer with us, but her birthday was on the 15th also.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
My
Yeah.
niece.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Our nieces, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
our nieces. I'm sorry,
Absolutely.
our nieces.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so there you go. Team
So for
Aries.
those, I
Yes.
wanted to ask, for those that don't know, what is 302? If you want to.
I would have to say my experience with 302 because I do have 4 302s on my background.
What is
I
302?
like
Is
medical
that like
terming or
medical
how
accident?
I went
Right.
through
So
it.
some people don't know what that means.
Involuntary hospitalization, as
Oh,
I've
okay.
always been told, as if
Yes.
somebody else,
Yeah.
like you can be, there's a 201. That would be like if you signed yourself in to like the
Mhm.
psych hospital.
Mhm.
But 302 will be somebody on the outside, like mine was the police. I've been 302 by the police. I was also 302 by a family friend. Anybody that can pretty much prove that like you're a harm to yourself or others
Right.
compared to me walking in and saying I'm going to harm myself or others. So I don't know the medical terminology when it comes to that,
Right.
but I do know from my experience that's what it was.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay, so back before we got off track there for a minute, which that's
Can you
why
give me
we're
a pen,
distracted
Walter?
divas. You said that this was a one-time hookup.
yes.
His father. Okay.
Yes. His father was one time. I kind of say this to everybody. I say 10 minutes changed my life. Yeah,
Okay, well,
definitely did.
I'm sorry, it's only 10 minutes.
No, no, I'm
No,
not
sorry.
actually. I'm not.
I'm gonna
We-
tease you later.
we-
Look, we're
No,
being serious now, but I'm gonna
always
get you
joke around.
later. Look.
Yeah.
We are one of the things, if you don't know us, is if you don't laugh, you'll cry. So
Yes. Yes. Yes.
we got to throw some jokes in there.
I agree
Yes,
with you. I agree.
absolutely.
Yeah. So
And we're gonna throw some jokes in there. Trust me. Like,
I'll take them. I need them. I sell jokes all the time and they're corny. So I'll take them.
Life is too serious. So yeah.
yes, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you
I
all.
agree. I agree.
Okay, sorry, we keep interrupting
Oh,
you. Go
you're
ahead.
fine. You're fine. It's okay. So I yes, like Nina's dad hooked up. At the time I did not know his father was married with child at home. And
Oh, right.
whole situation that I was thrown into. I won't even get into like the whole 9 months of pregnancy, but I
Right.
went through I honestly was going to terminate the pregnancy. I was going to have an abortion. I didn't have insurance at the time. And
Hold on, I have
told
a
him,
question for you.
yes.
What type of situation were you in at the time that you met him? Were you in a single mother, single person living their life, going to work, coming home, doing their thing?
No, I was 19 years old
You were
living
young.
with my mom. Yeah.
Mhm.
I wasn't
Okay.
yet just out of high school, just
So
graduated
he
high
took an
school. Wasn't
opportunity, pretty much. The
Yeah.
guy.
yeah.
So he presented himself as money and he did whatever he did. And like all of us, and that's not all of us, but 90% of us are like, oh, he has some money and let me hang out with him.
He basically pretty much, I smoked marijuana with him.
Yeah, he came as a care.
And we hooked up and dropped
the
me
guy
off.
that, he keeps you entertained. He
Yes.
cares. And, when we're young, we don't.
Well, no, truthfully speaking with you guys, though, it was like a literal, like, meet and greet situation. Like, I didn't even know anything. I didn't, honestly. I'm 19 years old. I was very young and wild and smoking marijuana. I was out of control at that point in my life. Totally out of control at that point in my life. So it was like a little minute interaction, pretty much. Never thought I'd see him again. Never.
Okay.
Hey, public service announcement. Even, if you're with somebody, just, hey, what you just said. Never thought I'd see him again, but now
never.
Here we are.
13 years you see him.
For the rest of your life.
13 years you see him.
For the rest of our lives, yes.
So even if you are with somebody,
yeah,
and you're maybe haven't thought about kids yet, Think
Yes.
about, do you want to be with this person for the rest of your life? Because with a child,
Yeah.
you will be connected to them in some way for the rest of your life.
The
Always.
rest.
And you know what? I wish that was something I answered, because it was definitely a responsibility that like I knew I couldn't take on, and I had to be honest with self. I feel as if I tried to fake the funk, that would have been like selfish on my end, kind of. Like I knew I was not even just financially, but maturely, responsibly, I was in no way to take on a child. I wasn't.
So would you say that started during your pregnancy in regards to um, everything that trickled down, or after the pregnancy, did things get better with him, or were things changing to where your thought process kind of shifted?
Would say the thought process shifted honestly as I got closer delivering. I did. And honestly, it didn't even shift for the better because I saw that my situation still had not changed. I was still living in a shelter for pregnant women. I was not working. And it was like, as I got closer to the day, I kind of couldn't like run away from it at that point.
Right.
Like
I
it
have a
was going to
question
happen.
too.
So,
How was your family? Did you have any family members that could embrace this or maybe help you for a couple of months and then you have to do this? Or did you have any family members that could reach out to help you?
If you ask them, yes. If you ask me, not necessarily.
No. I hear
Well,
you.
the thing that we understand is this, and like I'm a mama bear, so the thing that we understand is, yes, we could be there for you,
right?
But we may want you to change some parts of your life that you don't want to change right now. So,
absolutely,
and
yes.
For you, that's a no.
It wasn't at the time. Yeah, I wasn't.
Right.
I wasn't.
So,
I wasn't.
I mean, it's not. You don't want to actively blame somebody.
No,
you just want to say, no, I didn't feel like it because at that time in your life, you're 19. It ain't like you're not grown. You're young.
No,
so
yeah.
At 19, you didn't want to change anything. So it's like, no, I don't have anybody.
I didn't.
And you could have had the world, but to you, because they didn't accept you, because as an adult now, back then, you wanted them to accept you as you were, at that time. And they were like, hell no. I'm not saying your people. I'm just saying
no, they were though.
Hell no. Like, hell no. If you come here, you got to do ABC, but that's not who I am.
Yeah.
But you have
I
to be.
would say that I think it was about almost 8 months in pregnant. I did end up moving back home with my mom. And that's exactly, my mom was very tough love. She is, to this day, she is tough love. But it's like looking back at the situation now, I think what it was, I don't think she was disappointed in the fact of me having my son because to this day, it is also her only grandchild. It's my parents' only grandson, child. Yeah. I have an older brother and a younger sister, but they don't have kids. So my son is like very spoiled with them, especially my mom. But looking back at it now, I think she was just like, she knew I could do better, pretty much.
Well, as
she knew
a
I could
grandparent, I feel like, and I understand because you could be my child. So as a grandparent, we're never unhappy about the grandchild. We just want you to do better so that you can take care of your child.
Yes.
That doesn't mean we won't help. But at 19, our expectations for you guys are too high. And that's a problem.
Yeah.
Because back in our days, we didn't know how to talk to our child about what's your expectations for yourself.
Good question.
The way we presented it to them was harsh. So they said what they thought we wanted to hear.
I could honestly apply that to my son now. What you were just asking, that question you just asked, I could really apply that to my son now. I could, because my mom, she, my son can do no wrong in her eyes, though. Like none.
No grandkids can do any wrong in our eyes, no matter what.
He's been a lot of trouble at school. He's gotten a lot of trouble over these past years in school, and it's my mom. It's like, oh my God. Sometimes I look at my mom and I'm like, where was this mind frame when I was that age? Because like I didn't get that. My son does nothing, but I don't even take it from either one of them though. Yeah, I don't take it from either one of them. Yeah. So yeah, like I said, I was living with her. So
you mentioned that you were also at a shelter for a little bit. Was that while you were pregnant?
I was.
But
yeah,
when
I was
you had
there.
the baby, or when you had your son, were you living at home at that time?
Yeah, I had just hit like 8 months. And I know I remember it so vividly because I was living with my mom when I went into the day I went into labor, obviously, because I remember she was leaving for work. And I woke up and told her she was leaving out for work, and then she told me that if anything changes, call her at work. And I went across the street to my best friend's house, and then, they took me to the hospital, and my mom came
And she was mad at you,
straight to the
wasn't she?
hospital. Yeah, but it
That's
was,
my grandson. What you doing, girl?
yeah. But she ended up, she walked me around that hospital floor, and I forget what it's called. I wouldn't say pregnancy floor, pregnancy ward.
The maternity ward.
Maternity ward, yes. And I remember her walking me around, rubbing my back, trying to help with the labor pain.
So I have a question for you.
Yes.
When did you know that you were depressed? Like it was a depression. When did you start feeling like the way you wrote the letter? Like we want to kind of divulge into, when did you start feeling that I don't want to do this, when did you start feeling that?
I honestly would have to say I probably felt that before I even left the hospital that third day.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly. Because it was in my way. In a sense, I kind of felt like my life was over. Not looking at the fact that my life was just beginning.
Right.
I kind of was like in that young-minded, selfish, I can't hang out with my friends anymore. I have a baby now,
But that's
I haven't even hit 21 yet. I'd have to say that. And like I said, I think the situation with me even having to sign that birth certificate without a father on the name, I was like, did I really just sign up for something that I really didn't want?
And depression could come in many ways, for many different things. I myself, I was married with a husband at home pregnant, and I was depressed because I actually still felt alone, even though I was married.
Yeah.
So I felt in depression, and
I don't think men realize that. I don't think they realize that. And even at my age, and I've been in relationships, not a whole bunch, but relationships. I don't think men realize that you could be in the same room with them and still feel alone. They're like, what are you talking about? I take care of you. What the fuck does that got to do with you?
I agree with you.
So yeah, it could be for many different reasons.
Yeah.
So our thing with you is what when you were in the hospital and you were feeling that, did you tell a doctor? Did you tell a nurse?
I didn't say anything.
So you just, and then you went home.
You wanted to keep that. Yeah.
When did you start feeling like you wanted to not be here any longer?
I would have to say, I don't know. You know what? This is the reason. I think this is how I kind of knew I was heading into the postpartum version of depression, because honestly, sometimes it wasn't even that I didn't want to be there anymore. Right. It was like sometimes I had the thought. Not sometimes I did. I had the thought that I didn't want my child there. Honestly, I didn't. And
tell us. Wait. So we're trying to understand. So we want you to tell us more of what that means when you say you don't want your child there. What's in your brain thinking? I don't want my child. Do you not want your child to live the life that you chose? Or do you not want your child to live in this world because you don't like the world? Do you not want your child to live with your parents? Like, what made you think that?
I would have to say, because I know it sounds, and I think this is the reason I commented on that.
Ma'am, nothing is dumb. Nothing is dumb. If that's how you feel, that's how you feel. So we're hugging you. We're giving you a hug right now.
Thank
you. Come on, lady, let's give her a hug.
Wow, that's awesome. Thank you so much. Well, no, I would have to say, I think that's the reason I was captured by the case, because of how they say this mother killed her children. And it was like that I had hit that. I had a couple thoughts of,
and we're glad that
killing my child,
so the strength to even stop yourself. Yeah, because it didn't go this far. So
it didn't.
It's amazing. So you still had strength in you and knowledge to kind of pause.
Yes. And that's why I had said that. I had said, I wish that, I think if postpartum was looked at, as they say, as the illness it is, we would be able to tell the difference between the mothers who are feeling and thinking this way solely because of everything that comes after pregnancy, the hormone changes and all that, compared to those who, truly do need psychiatric help, because I've also was always told and educated myself that I think they say after a certain amount of months, I've even read can reach up to 1 year of age when you start to phase out of the postpartum depression, and it's I don't think that like way about him now, you know. I mean, I got him,
Right.
you know, he's 13 now, and I wouldn't do anything for that child, my son, only child, and I keep it that way, you know. But
But
yeah, I
that's what I
do.
was going to say earlier was like, I mean, this is a good point too. This is 13 years ago. Like it probably,
Yes.
I don't even think even today that we're obviously like
Mm-mm.
this case is bringing to light that we are not taking this seriously, that these women are really, I didn't luckily have it, or I don't
Mm-hmm.
remember having it.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, I can sympathize because of stuff I've been through in my life over the last couple of years with my daughter and her mental health. Like, you
Yeah,
know, this mental health is a real big, huge issue right now,
it is. It is. And
and
I would also, I'm sorry.
nobody's doing anything about it. You know,
And I would say with the postpartum, what it is like I said, like I'm reading comments on this case. People were saying things like, "Oh my God, how would you want to hurt your children? And how could you ever do something?" And it's like I didn't want to hurt
Right.
my son. Trust me, I knew I didn't want to hurt him, but I also knew I didn't know where these thoughts were coming from, but they were there. You know, they were there.
Yeah,
So
and
were
with
you on
with
any
Unfortunately,
the birth and
medication?
everything, that moves a
no.
lot. A lot of things happen.
And
Were
now
you
I
That's
on
when you
any,
need
wasn't.
support.
wait, were you
Yes.
on any medication at that time? Did they
No,
give you
I
anything?
wasn't. And
So
I
you,
know I
so
didn't
you
say
never had any
anything.
medication at all.
At
well,
that point in my life, no.
So the
Today,
thing
now
is,
I do. Yeah,
but I'm
no, but
saying the
then,
thing is
no.
this. So you never had any medication, but you also didn't tell them that you were feeling
I
like this
didn't. No, I did not. I did
because
not.
if
No.
you because in your mind, if you thought that you
As
thought they
yeah,
maybe have taken the baby away.
they were
So
going to take
we
him.
get it,
Yeah, and
right?
I
We
would be in
get
a
it,
psych hospital somewhere. So,
right?
yeah,
well, you were
yeah, but
saying you were scared, and I guess you felt shame about it too.
I did because that's the thing, you know, like that's the I would think like that. Like I would think myself like something has to be wrong with me, you know, like you have your child, this is, you know, your bundle of joy. You're supposed to be that,
Right.
you know, happiest moments of your life. And I thought like something. I was like I could hear something was wrong with me, but I also was like, do I say it? You know, like I've even kind of had that little inner battle period with mental health as I've grown older. You know, I've unfortunately have had a huge problem with suicide and suicidal tendencies. And you don't want I didn't want to speak up because I was like, you know, I don't want them to think I'm going to harm myself. I'm thinking that way, but the first thing they want to do is put you in the hospital. Like that's the first
Right.
thing they want to do is institutionalize you.
Yep. Yep.
So as you were doing that, you weren't drinking or
No.
smoking or any of that while you were. I'm just trying. We're trying to get a better
Yeah.
grasp
No,
on.
at that time I
You
wasn't.
had
I
you
wasn't even
had
using the
it.
drugs
So
yet.
it's postpartum. Something's wrong. It's postpartum, right? And back then, we don't think we have anything wrong with us ever.
Right.
We think we're
And,
okay. So we don't know how to ask for help.
and
And
I would
if you tell
also
your mother's like, "Oh, girl, you're okay. You just sad."
Hmm.
yeah,
They do
yeah.
tend
And
You
to
tell your
think
friend,
that,
"Oh, girl,
listen,
you'll be all right."
which is
Those
why
are the people that you don't want to tell.
I
yeah.
Those are
know.
the people you don't want to tell. The people that you want to tell are in the hospital next to you.
Yes.
Hindsight is
Yes.
2020, but
Yes, it
he's
is.
still, and we're talking like this because he's still here.
He
But
is.
it's
He's very
good that
much right here.
you're telling us this
Yes.
because you're helping the people who have those thoughts right now.
Yes. Yes.
Do
Yes.
something. Don't tell your mother. Don't tell your brother. Don't tell your father. Tell the doctors.
Yes. And I would also
Because
have to
they'll give the
say
baby to the mother, your
they
mother. They
will.
won't give the
They will.
baby
Yes.
to,
Yes.
right.
And I would also have to say the biggest thing was like I'd have to say I was already shameful for the situation.
Yes.
You know, small town. My son was by a married man. Like it was like I had the shame already. So it was like if I bring this up, like I'm really going to be looked at like the failure of the not only mother but as a person. I felt at that time. You know, it was like I was already dealing with feeling like kind of like a home wrecker almost, and then I'm like,
Right.
you know, I got this, and if I tell them I need what's going on, but I would also have to say, realizing back then there was probably also a lot of other mental health diagnoses I've received as I've aged that were
That
very
you didn't address.
present then too. You know, they were
Hmm.
very
Right.
present then too. I would
Right.
have to say
Yes.
that as well. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, I know it takes a lot to even say that, like for real. It takes a lot to even say those types of things, but I want to interject some laughter in this.
Absolutely.
You might not like it, but I'm going to
Oh, you're
interject
fine.
some laughter in. 10 minutes, he wasn't happy at home. She wasn't happy at home.
They say, you know what's funny? Me and
She
her,
wasn't happy, trust me.
me and his stepmom are like this today, actually. They're no longer
oh,
together,
really?
but me and his
Wow.
stepmom could sit on the phone for like And I call her my son's stepmom. Yeah, because my
That's
son was
amazing.
living with them from the
That's
ages of 1 to 4 before father got locked up. So
that went full circle pretty much for you.
yes, I trust me. That woman I say is my son's stepmom. She has my son's 2 sisters and brother from his dad as well. We can talk on the phone for me a while.
That's
It was
beautiful.
It was funny though. A couple months ago, around Christmas time, we were on the phone and we finally discussed that day. You know, when I knocked on the door, and I knocked on the grandmother's house door, the only place I remember where he took me that night, and then I introduced myself, and she came to the door, and she said, "I'm
You are
his
very
wife."
bold for that. That's amazing.
Yeah, and I said, "I'm Destiny, and I'm pregnant." I turned and walked away. And we finally discussed it, but it's so funny because she told me, she said, "I was wishing you would have stayed. He pulled up in my car like 10 minutes later." She said, "And I whipped to town on him in that street." She said, "I wish you would have stayed."
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I would love to have been a fly on the wall.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Me too. She's a good woman. She is. She's a very good woman. She is.
Good.
She was key in my son's life and still is. So.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so for the people out there, what would you say that maybe a tip that for ladies that are going through that as a maybe something to remember to keep with you in those moments?
Yes.
In your experience?
I would have to say what Miss Diva Pamela said about how I like how you said that about like not telling your mom or not telling to tell a doctor, because like I said, it's like you don't want to tell those closest to you that you can't do it, period. And I have always found that me talking through therapy, it's like to tell somebody like, on the outside looking in, it's like the safest. You don't have to worry about it being repeated. You know, because like if I would have told my mom, my grandmother, aunt, second cousin, everyone would know by the end of the night, you know. But it was like with like my therapist today and my outpatient, she is like my safe person. And you know, it's like telling somebody that isn't involved with you directly helps a lot. It's crazy because I always say, I was told once by an older lady at a bus stop here in Philadelphia that I think she said you can meet the nicest people at a bus stop. And I definitely agree with her, you know, because you never have to worry about like the judgment because they don't really know you. And, you know, you don't have to worry about it being put on Facebook and you're tagged in it later. And I would have to say that though. And I not only speak about it, but when you speak about it though, I would have to say, be ready for the work that comes with it too. I would have to say that it's not going to just be about, you know, everyone telling you to take a Zoloft and put a smile on your face. You know, it's going to take that dedication and that work. It is. And it's ongoing is a good word. Because it's never, even though you may grow out of that postpartum depression phase as that child ages, that's why I said I found a lot of undiagnosed, my mental health that I had been diagnosed with as I've aged, but they were very present. You know, it's never just anything that just stops. Like, it's going to be something. I mean, I haven't been to the psych hospital since 2020, but between 2015 and 2020, I was hospitalized 18 times, you know?
Oh, wow.
But it's like, it's not something I think it's just over with, you know?
I have a question.
Very much clear up, but
I have a question for you. And when you're telling us your testimony and all this, does your son know any of this?
Was this addressed?
He does know. He knows about everything. And you know, one reason I've asked him, it wasn't as he was younger. I'd have to say maybe a year ago. I talked with him because he had a bad day at school. He got suspended. And I told him, I said, Jackson, his name is Jackson. I said, Jax, do you remember anything?
Nice name.
Yeah, and I do spell it with the X. It's Jaxson.
Oh, I like that.
So, yeah, it's my Jackson. But I asked him, I said, do you remember anything, you know, like from your infancy? And he was like, why would I remember? He's very smart and he's a very sarcastic. Why would I remember anything from my infancy, Mom? You know, he was like, your brain doesn't start that. I was like, okay, Jack, wait, no. Yeah, he gets like, I said, no, Jackson, do you remember anything between me and you? I said, any incidents, situations, anything? And he says, no, I don't. And I asked him, I said, would you be open? He said, yes. And I think the reason he said yes was because he had also been with me after I was using drugs 4 years ago when I got him back.
So he's a very understanding kid.
Wait,
and
you said when you got him back. When did somebody take him? Oh, but I want to say this. I want to interject this on you. So you're telling us your story, and trust me, we understand 100%. Well,
Yes.
maybe not 100%, but we understand. And telling your story going forward.
Yes.
Tell us about you got him back. Like,
Yes.
when did they take? First of all, tell us when they took him.
Well, he was never taken.
Oh, okay.
I had him up until the age of about I had him up until the age of about 15, 16 months living with my mom.
Okay, hold
And then
on.
my mom
I'm gonna stop you on certain things. So you had him
yes.
up until the age of 15 months.
Yes.
How were you? Were you clean? Because
I
nobody
was.
cares. I'm not saying nobody
No,
cares,
no, no, I know.
but
Yeah, I wasn't.
there's no judge that's going to take you if you were using while you had a child because you were
Oh
with your
yeah,
mom.
yeah, yes.
So
No, I had recently just moved back from Philadelphia. We were up in the city again because I had put us in a mommy and me program. That's where it was. We were in a mommy and me program. And then that didn't work out. I forget. I think he went home with my mom for a weekend back to my hometown, and I went out with my friends for the weekend and didn't come back. And those type of programs you can't stay out overnight. It's not like you
right.
can't stay out type stuff. So we moved back home with my mom. My mom put me out of the house, and me and her got into an argument.
And she should have.
Yes, very much well. She was very right about that. She put me out of the house and pretty much told me I wasn't taking Jackson. I don't think at that point I argued because I had nowhere to go. He went with his dad.
Okay.
So, Ms. Destiny, would you say that postpartum psychosis is a thing in your opinion and your experience? Is that a thing?
Yes.
Is that there's steps that could be done? Do you think therapy should be taken in pregnant women, maybe the last several months, in your opinion? What would you advise?
I would definitely say it is a thing, and I even like your suggestion, Victor. I do. I do like you said that because I do. I think it should be implemented, especially those who are kind of in like high risk situations. I would even say, like I said in the beginning, though, it's not always those of us who may have got pregnant unwanted. It's not, but
Right.
I would say that like a lot of outside environmental factors, like it may look everything good on the outside, but on the inside, like I don't know. You could have I know what they say with this case that a lot of people are trying to say that the husband drugged her up and a lot of things that go on inside the home you may not know about. So
Right.
it's like, I think that should be something implemented, especially those who are in high risk situations. I do. So even those of us that may have also had mental health diagnosis previously, even as a teen, if you had I was hospitalized as a teenager before in a psych hospital for, something I did. I was like 14. But, it's like that's another thing that I don't ever think mental health really disappears. I don't.
So do
So
you
maybe
think? So do you think that, like you say,
you're making me think that, like, just like you go to all your OBGYN appointments, maybe you should go to see a
Oh,
therapist as
wow.
part of a OBGYN like checkup.
yeah.
So
That's
that
a really good
somebody
I
idea,
feel
could
like
actually.
that's a great idea.
somebody
It
could
is.
evaluate every person that's pregnant. I don't know. I mean, it's just something I'm spitballing out there.
Or
Like,
they can have someone in the room while they're, because it's another paraprofessional as well. So they could
Yeah.
have someone in the room to listen to what you're saying behind the scenes while your doctor's asking you questions. They can kind
Oh,
of
yeah.
compartmentalize compartmentalize what you're saying as opposed
Yes.
to what you're
or
saying.
come or come in one of the hospital visits and give you a
Right.
little evaluation, and also, like, whether they feel like something's wrong or not, just like give you an opening to be like, hey, if you ever having any really wild thoughts or whatever, call this line or give my office a call, or I
I
don't
would.
know.
If they're a therapist, they know how to say it without intimidating you.
Right.
I would.
Because that's one thing, a big thing about people that have psychosis. People intimidate them, so they like, oh no, I'm fine.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, yes. I would say this though, that would should be if something implemented as you were saying while pregnant. I will
Yeah.
say because I did have a friend, I think in November 1st, she had her baby and I went to visit her and I was in the room when the social worker came
Mm.
in. And I was standing there. First I asked her, you want me to leave before while you're talking to the social worker? She said no, it was fine. And I think it was like a risk assessment of the postpartum questions, but it's stuff that like I feel like if it's also answered prior, it could probably save a lot of, like incidents further down the
Babies'
road.
lives,
Things.
people's lives.
Yes, it could save a lot of stuff, like the questions they were asking her. And when the social worker left, I did also say to her, I said, if you ever do feel like you need help, speak. Like, do not be afraid and do not be ashamed. Like, it does not make you a bad mom. I think that's all I really needed to hear. It
So when you
doesn't
went,
make you a bad mom.
when they took you at 14, did they prescribe you any meds, or did they talk to you and ask you, like we can talk to each other and say, how you feeling? And we can lie and say, oh, we're fine.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, it's just that. Did they divulge, or did they say, hey, if you take, because I know just for a fact that when I go to my doctor and I say this hurts, that hurts, the first thing I want to do is prescribe me meds. And I'm like, I ain't
I was about
taking
to
that
say,
shit.
yeah.
Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I ain't taking
Yep,
that
I was about
shit.
to say that. Yep.
But I'm
They
saying,
did.
so they did, and because you were young, they probably told your mom she needs to take this.
And I would also say the medications they give a lot of kids nowadays, this ADHD, ADD diagnosis. I was put on Adderall. And that is something that I honestly, by the time I turned 18 and had hold of medication, I was addicted to it by then.
Yeah.
I also even believe addiction can be genetic, which is one key reason why, like, my son going through the behavioral problems he's going through at school, I keep telling them they keep pushing the
Well,
medication. And I'm like, he can be on medication, but I am hesitant about the narcotics.
Yeah.
I
Adderall's
want
a
to say this.
narcotic.
I don't, just in that statement, and I don't want to divulge a whole bunch of stuff right now, but I don't think that that's genetics. I don't think that's purely genetics. Addiction is not purely genetics, because
I don't
I
only
have.
mean drugs, though. I don't mean
Huh?
only addiction to drugs. I mean, like,
Yeah.
I don't solely, like, I would say, like, addiction. Like, I've been told that people are having addicted to many different things, not just like drugs and alcohol, though.
Right.
Because, like, my mom's four of us. She was a drug heavy user with us, and like, all four of us in some way. Like, older brother went to jail for unconsensual sex. I had drug addiction. Younger brother
But the
drank a
thing
lot,
with that
and
to me is, and I'm not blaming anybody. If
I
anybody's
don't. It's
recovering,
fine. I don't
if
even
they're
really speak for
recovering
anyone.
from drugs, they should already
Yes.
know how you feel. So to me, that person should be your savior, saying, okay, I don't want her on this. I don't want her on
That's
this. I
why.
don't want her
Yeah.
on that. This is what we want to do.
Well, if I was to even sit here and tell you my whole life story, because I was adopted at 3 months. I have my biological mom and I have my mom that raised me. Yeah, I have two different moms,
Makes sense
but that
now.
would take so much longer. If it was my biological
But
mom,
it makes
that
sense to
wouldn't have
me.
happened. What you
Look,
So
said is what my mom
yeah.
that raised me pretty much, like, I guess
makes
she,
sense.
and it's
Now it
probably
makes
why
sense.
I am the way I am with my son, is exactly
Did
how you
you
just
ever
said.
meet
Yes,
your
I am.
biological mother?
Yeah.
Did you ever meet your biological father?
No. Don't even
But
know his name.
but
Well, and
but
I
you're
would have
saying,
to.
but I want to say this. You
Yes.
say no. When you say no the way you say no,
Yeah, I
a
know.
lot of
I,
times
I
that
say
has a
too.
lot to do, because most girls want to know who their biological father is more than they want to know who their biological mother is. And you saying no tells the story immediately. And I feel like, as
Well,
in the
yeah,
in the medical profession
I,
with
I would agree,
therapists, they need to
but
have somebody for people who have been adopted, because you got to fight through, you got to crawl, you got to grab through, you got to go through all of that. No, that nose in there. Oh, I don't care. Or this, you got to get through all of that to get to the root of why
Well,
they
she
act the way
is.
they act.
You're addressing it. You
and
do take therapy, Miss
Yes, you
Despina.
are.
I do, yes,
Yeah,
yes, I do
Yes.
that as well. And I will say this, like,
I
my
do as
mom's
well.
are first cousins, like, adopted within the family. Don't know my.
Uh-oh. Where'd she go?
Okay, so we had some technical difficulties there at the end and we lost Destiny. But we were able to get her back and we actually have a part 2 coming out. I just wanted to address that we're not professionals. We're just out here doing this for fun and entertainment. So this is strictly for entertainment. And if you want to find out more about any of the stuff that we've been talking about, then please go out, research that on your own. And just to reiterate, this is about the Lindsay Clancy trial. And at this point, the 12 jurors inside the Massachusetts courtroom will ultimately decide Lindsay Clancy's legal fate. A parallel trial is being played out across the country. In the court of public opinion, this case has completely fractured the public, drawing a razor-sharp line between demands for criminal accountability and a fierce outcry over mental health and maternal mental health. On one side, a massive wave of advocates and medical professionals see Lindsay as a victim of a broken healthcare system. They point to her cocktail of 13 or more prescription drugs and argue she has been trapped in a terrifying and invisible battle with postpartum psychosis. And on the other side, an equally vocal public demands justice for Cora, Dawson, and Callan. For them, the prosecution's timeline of calculated phone searches and timed errands proves deliberate planning, not a sudden break from reality. I just feel like I said before, and like we have said in this podcast, it really just brings a light to mental health and postpartum depression. And so that's what we just wanted to kind of talk about in this episode. And we will continue our conversation in part 2 next week. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode and will tune in to us next week. Peace out, divas.